Professor Amy, wake up Fabien. I've been using our excellent Google Maps scraper and I've ran into a problem. I can only collect 120 results at the time, but I intend to make way more than 120 prank calls. Fix this for me, and fix it now, please.
As Professor of Innovation, Fabien, I need your help. We can do this. Can you please walk us through on Google Maps, how do we get more than 120 results?
Okay, let's do to infinite and beyond. So what we can do is to modify our spiders. How does it work? So now, here, on the start request, I've added just one parameters. So now I'm added include page, and what will do Playwright? It will include the web page object, so I can do interaction with that. I can click, I can scroll, I can do everything on the page, and Scrappy won't close the page. So now when I'm on the university function, which is a callback, I can access to the page elements, and that's what we will do to do the infinite scroll. So here I'm getting the page object, I will extract each HTML page, and I will do the scroll page. And I want to show you on the web page of Google Maps, there is one interesting option here. When you go at the end of the scrolling, Google Map show you a small text. You've reached the end of the list. Oh. So we need to find this information in the HTML, otherwise we can continue to scroll. That's the magic trick. So let's do that. And we can do that here. So we are getting the HTML page, and we are doing an infinite loop. If in the HTML page we find this text, okay, let's stop from there. But otherwise, we just press the key down, page down, the keyboard page down, and we just wait some half a seconds. And after that, we get the new HTML content, and we loop until we reach the end of the list.
So if I may ask, Fabien, are we scraping the data as we keep scrolling, or does all of that stay within our single HTML so that when we want to go to the individual items later, how does that work?
So it's a good question. What we're going to do is to use the latest HTML content, because when we first start the scrolling, the response object doesn't have every items. We didn't scroll to the end. That's why we will use the latest HTML content. And on top of that, we will add the selectors. So this object is a scrapy functions, which helps to collect and do the selection part with XPath selections, CSS selections. And after that, we will reuse this selector object here instead of the response. Before it was response, and now it is selectors. Mm-hmm. So let's do that now. So if I'm starting the spider here, I'm just opening my Chrome browser on the university page, accepting the consent, and you will see he will scroll alone. Promise, I didn't touch anything.
Fabien, wake up. It's finished.
Okay. So now if I'm checking university list, I've got far more results here.
Amazing. Dean, what I see here is a miracle. Fabien has managed to get you more results than you ever had before. What do you think, Dean?
Well, you've got me more results, but it's still just, 27? That's far fewer than 120. I can see why you're not the mathematics professor.
Fair rebuttal, Dean. Fabien, can you help us? Let's say we want to get all universities in the entire United States. Can you help us with that?
So let me show you if I'm looking directly on Google Map on the whole US. I will have only a few results. So what we're gonna do perhaps is to use to search universities state by state. So we can start with Washington, after going to Kentucky if you want, and to Kansas. Okay?
Got it. Makes sense.
Perfect. So let's adapt our spider to redo the whole process by state. So the first things
If I may, real quick pause just to make sure I'm understanding it correctly. So you're saying that when we search just universities in the United States on Google Maps, it, Google Maps kind of picks and chooses which ones it want to shows us. We can keep scrolling, but we eventually hit the end of the list, and therefore we're capped. There's clearly way more universities than that in the United States. And so your proposal is that we need to basically limit our search so that Google kind of is tricked into giving us university of that state, that state, that state. And if we need to get more granular for things like restaurants, for example, we have to go to the city level. Right, exactly.
Right.
So universities might work at a state level. So yeah, it makes sense to me. Please continue.
Yeah, it's I can say web scraping protection.
Yeah, right. A clever one, yeah.
So let's adapt our spider for that. So what I need to do first, okay, so I will have some spider which can do that, and I will explain you. So the first things, what I don't want to do is to validate the consent every time, because I just want to validate the consent part once, and after I can go on each state. Am I correct?
Yeah, makes sense.
Oh. So what I will do the first request on Google Maps without searching anything. It will ask me the consent. I will do the clicking, and after that, I can go on each state. I've got here an array with all the states. And if you don't know them, just ask to ChatGPT. And after, I'm doing all the requests. Here, I'm doing the request on each state with a for loop. And after, you know the drill. I'm working on the different university, getting information on each university. But the thing is, there is a lot of information to collect. What I will do is to accelerate the process. Should I do that?
Yeah, let's see. Let's speed it up.
Okay. To accelerate the process, let's keep downloading all the images because it takes a lot of time. So I can say to Playwright, if you are downloading an image, please abort it or skip it. And to do that, it's very easy. On the setting, I just have to add one function. And this function here is this one here. So I can abort processing here. So if the request is an image, or if it's ending by JPEG, PNG, whatever, or if it's a useless request from Google Map, please abort it. So now I will run the spider. And if I'm trying to extract that, you will see I will collect all the informations. So first, I will accept the consent, and after, I'm going to Wyoming, Wisconsin.
I see. There's no pictures of the universities there.
Indeed. Right. So it's clearly faster. And as you see, I'm just opening, closing, opening, closing, opening, closing.
I assume we're going to cut this, or like, how this will take a while, right? I assume.
Yeah, and I don't want to continue because
you'll ban. Go ahead and kill it. Whatever you need to do, kill it. Just keep picking it up.
Yeah. So with that, I've got all the university from each state.
Can you show us the last CSV file that was generated here?
Yeah, that's from there. So I collected this information.
So there's Green Bay, for example, which is Wisconsin. There's Wisconsin, Madison. Before we were doing Nebraska. So as I see here, we've accomplished the goal. Now we can go state by state and get much more results than what we had before. Is that right?
Correct.
Awesome. Fabien, you've done a great job. Dean, does this meet your expectations for innovation?
Excellent. You boys have done it again, whatever it is. But you've certainly done it, and for that, I almost appreciate you.
Okay, so let me explain how it works. So first, we start with CSS. So what we're doing, we're targeting here h1 tag, and we want to have the text which is inside the tag. That's what we're doing. But if we want to use another way, because sometimes with CSS selector it's not working, we can use XPath. So how does it work? It's quite more powerful. So let me explain these expressions. So here, what we are doing is we are targeting every tags which contains the Aria labels, and where in the Aria labels you have the keyword stars. So we're getting this tag, and what we want to extract is the property on this tag, which is Aria-Label. So what we are doing, we are targeting a tag with Aria-Label with star information inside, and we're extracting the attribute of that. And we are doing the same for the phone numbers. We are targeting all the buttons which contains an Aria label with the phone. And of course, we don't want to have the whole code of the buttons. We want to have only the attribute of the Aria labels, which is the phone value.
Well, the main thing we're looking for here is Aria-Label, because that's the one thing that's static, that Google's not giving us the random generated letters.
Right.
The way that we get that is we use a CSS selector and an XPath selector. I've wrote these expressions here myself, and this is called a CSS expression. This is called a XPath expression. To learn how to write your own, look that up yourself, and you can grab other data on the page as well too. But the key point here, students, is that we're trying to find the Aria-Label here and the button for that. So button, Aria-Label, and whatever Aria-Label. So that you're bringing them back to that core point, and then they can go off on their own to learn how to write that. Yeah.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.